So you've got yourself the world's best sports car in your driveway. But let's be frank, the engine is a little underwhelming. Well, fret no more. Here's my top 10 tips for the best, cheap MX-5 Miata engine mods. The original MX-5 Miata was released with a measly power level that even your grandma would snicker at. Here are some very accessible parts that can add a modest amount of extra pep, starting with the cold air intake. Yes, one of the most basic of mods that any car enthusiast will do, the trusty cold air intake. Find yourself a pod filter and some length of pipe and mount your intake somewhere that gets cool air. Just be sure to avoid a location that may result in your engine inhaling water and avoid hot areas like the exhaust system. While there are manufactured kits available, generally they are quite pricey and a DIY setup can be put together for around $50 and is a great first step for someone who wants to start making their own car mods. The second on today's list is again a very popular choice and perhaps no surprise, the exhaust headers. It will free up that exhaust flow, improve engine performance, and you'll maybe even gain a bit of a tougher exhaust note. This is a great one to try and find used on eBay or your favorite spare parts marketplace. A used set of headers will come in at somewhere between $100 and $300. Installation is definitely within the capability of even the most amateur home DIYer, and with just simple tools and a basic socket set. Third on the list is the next part down the chain that attaches to the previously mentioned headers, the exhaust. A free-flowing or straight-through rear muffler will again improve that exhaust flow, will definitely add more tone and noise, and may improve power. Search around and you can often find a used one for sale for a fair price. Just be sure to get the right exhaust for your year of car, as they did change over time. Generally, tubing around 2 1/4 or 2 1/2 inches in diameter is a suitable upgrade for an MX-5 Miata, so keep that in mind when you're on the hunt. Number 4 is a free mod for those with the original NA model MX-5 Miata that run the mechanical cam angle sensor, or CAS, at the back of the head. This is the 14-degree timing mod. All you need is a timing light, which can be purchased or sometimes hired from your auto parts store, or perhaps just borrow one from your mates, and a spanner or wrench to loosen and adjust your CAS. Advancing your base timing from 10 to about 14 degrees before top dead center is a free trick to unlock some power at the top of your rev range. Note that higher octane fuel is advised to avoid the chance of engine damage with more advanced timing. There's a great guide on the Miata.net website that details all about this mod, so I'll include a link in the description below to that page. Number 5 is an exclusive for the 1.6 litre engined vehicles with the flapper door style airflow meter. This trick involves swapping in an airflow meter from a non-turbo 2nd gen RX7, which can be had from your local used parts junkyard. This will unlock an additional maybe 5 or so horsepower, but this benefit really only is present above about 6,000 RPM, so don't forget to rev that little 1.6 all the way out to redline. There's a great website on this topic that can be found at Solo Miata, to which I'll include a link in the description. Sixth on the list is another freebie. Don't let unnecessary accessories sap away at your already measly power level. Why not consider an aircon or power steering's elite? Both of these systems require belts and pulleys running off of the crank of the engine, and as such are taking away valuable horsepower that you desperately need under your right foot. Simply removing the drive belts for these systems is one quick, easy and free power adder. This one might be a surprise, but for number 7, believe it or not, spending maybe $100 on a fresh set of ignition leads and some spark plugs can do wonders. Resolving a weak ignition system, even if you didn't notice a power deficit, will make the whole engine feel brand new. It's an easy DIY job that takes maybe 20 minutes, with parts easily available at almost any auto parts store. I've personally driven numerous MX-5s in my time that had noticeably weak power under load that was fixed with fresh plugs and leads. From here on, we're starting to get to some of the more serious stuff. For number 8, it's a head skim. This does require removing the head from the engine and taking it to a machinist. But if you are handy and remove the head yourself, you'll only be out of pocket for the cost of the skimming, which would be in the vicinity of a couple of $100s. The benefit is an increase in compression ratio and can gain some 10 to 20 horsepower, which is really pretty significant. A modification like this does need to be complemented with other engine power adders to make it worth the while. So best not to start with this one and get some of the basics earlier in this list out of the way first. Okay, I really don't want to get into the 1.6 versus 1.8 argument, but number 9 is the option of swapping in a Wrecker 1.8 engine in to replace your worn out and tired old 1.6. With the availability of conversion kits from people like Flying Miata, for about $250 you get everything you need to be able to swap a 1.8 into the 1.6 vehicle and run it without too much fuss. This is particularly handy for those who have an engine that's on its last legs and you want the extra torque of a slightly larger engine. And given that the 1.6 chassis and driveline is ever so slightly lighter and quicker geared, it'll give the car some noticeable pep. Last but not least, forced induction has to be on the list. Not exactly cheap, let's be frank, but you can do boost on a budget if you really want to. Find a used supercharger or turbocharger kit, something simple and basic and run low boost, and you won't need to upgrade too many other OEM components. This is one of those situations where if you bide your time and keep an eye on your online marketplace of choice, be it eBay, Facebook or the forum, you'll find someone offloading a kit for maybe $500 to $1,000 and you can very quickly add quite a lot of power. And that's the list. So with just a little bit of ingenuity, some pennies saved up from your paper run and a few hours on eBay, you can get the most out of your MX-5 Miata engine. If you've got any extras you'd like to add to the list that I did not include, don't forget to leave them below. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.